Economists have stressed that a functioning economy must have a sufficient number of artisans to fulfill its potential. The Steel and Engineering Industries Federation of South Africa says all key sectors of the economy are dependent on a ready supply of artisans. Seifsa's Human Capital and Skills Development Executive Zizile Lushaba joins us to expand on this conversation. Thank you so much for your time, Zizile. We all know that the South African labour landscape is lacking when it comes to the training of artisans. Let's talk about where we currently stand in terms of a supply trained skills force for artisans in this current labour landscape.
Thank you, Tumisang. Thank you for having me, and good morning to all the viewers. So currently where we stand is that if we look at the National Development Plan, it says that by the year 2030, the country needs to basically produce 30,000 artisans per annum. However, currently we are producing 20,000 artisans per annum, which means that we are only at a 67% of what the National Development Plan says. Now we need strategy to move forward and close the gap in the 33% with regards to the 33% that is lacking.
Now, to make up for those gaps, what type of strategy is needed? Because it is not a new problem in South Africa. We just have not seen the implementation of upskilling in this regard.
That's a good one. Good question, Tumisang. I think the one thing is that what we've been doing in the previous years is that we've been having summits and having the discussion. However, we haven't had a strategy where we basically bring all three stakeholders together and forge forward an action plan that will actually work. For example, we have what was dubbed the Decade of the Artisan, right, which was a campaign that was released in 2014. However, with that campaign, there was a 2-day summit, and that discussion has since died down. That discussion was there to bring awareness to school leavers with regards to the path of pursuing an artisan program and the career prospects thereof. However, it's been sort of quiet since then. So there hasn't been continuous or ongoing awareness that has been created. And also, on the other hand, with regards to the stakeholders, there hasn't been any synergy. With the summits that have been hosted by the Department of Higher Education in the past, you'll see that you need the three stakeholders, which would be obviously government, and the other three stakeholders include SETAs. They also include TVET colleges as well as industry. But in most of the summits, you'll find that there's a lack of participation or attendance on the industry side. Now, the question that we need to ask ourselves is, when is there buy-in from all three stakeholders, and is there synergy? So the strategy that is required needs to have that synergy between the three and an action plan.
And I'm glad that you've answered it in that way, involving all three stakeholders, because at times there is criticism leveled against the state. In this case, it would be the Higher Education Department. But the private sector has a huge role to play here. A Decade of the Artisan, a campaign that we can fairly say has so far failed. Now we need to start talking about a dispensation where public-private partnerships are seen to encourage those school leavers to get into artisanry as a chosen profession, because stigma still remains, especially because in the basic education phase, that has been phased out with the new dawn of democracy, where we would see that individuals in South Africa are trained as artisans as an option before they are even school leavers.
That's definitely the case. I agree, and that is correct, Tumisang. If we have a look at the respect that used to be linked to pursuing or oneself becoming an artisan, that has since died out. So we need to bring that back and promote that option of pursuing an artisan program versus only people thinking that the only option, or school leavers thinking that the only option is actually going to university. And there are quite a number of advantages of pursuing an artisan program that can be leveraged. And it is not that well known to school leavers.
Zizile, what are the dangers of South Africa continuing to fail in producing more artisans, especially because we've seen in other countries, the likes of America, Germany, Russia, that plumbers, painters, builders are what drive the economy?
The dangers there, Tumisang, is that if you look at most of the sectors that we have within our economy, they are reliant on ready supply of artisans. Now, the lack of that will obviously limit the economy from growing.
Thank you so much for your time and your insights. That is Zizile Lushaba from Seifsa talking to us about this call by industry players that there needs to be far more and an acceleration in terms of South Africa training artisans and building on its pool of supply.